Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, the lepidosers show a striking diversity in their skull shape, and in this animal, we know that the robustness of the skull is correlated with the bite force and also the muscle mass. But, however, the need of a robust skull to resist the loading force during biting can conflict with other constructional demands, leading to trade-off, functional trade-off or alternative solution to the same problem. And in this regard, the role of the soft tissue in the cranial biomechanics, how the soft tissue helps the skull to resist the loading force during biting, have been poorly investigated. And that's the aim of the BBSRC project I'm working on with Alana Sharp, who's at UCL. We want to investigate the role of the soft tissue and the contribution in the biomechanics of the skull in reptiles and also in mammals. And concerning the reptiles, we focus on these two species, the tegu and the ornate monitor. They have the same body size and body shape and share the same diet and ecology. They are distantly related, and they convergently evolve towards the same ecology in South America and Africa. And when we when we look at their skulls, they have notable differences. The skull of the tegu is more robust than the flexible and lightly-built skull of the ornate monitor. The tegu possesses a postorbital bar that is absent in the ornate monitor. And the ornate monitor possesses an interfrontal suture that is absent in the tegu. So before adding the soft tissue and in our biomechanical analysis, I will talk about that at the end of my presentation. We wanted to investigate the biomechanics of the skeletal structure in these two species to see if this difference in the shape of the skull impacts the strain. If the strain are lower in the robust skull of the tegu rather than in the ornate monitor. And we wanted to investigate the role of some structures such as the postorbital bar and the interfrontal suture. So to tackle this question, we make biomechanical models with virtual 3D model of the skull, in vivo data such as high-speed video records of feeding, but also information on muscle physiology and morphology from dissection. And we use all this data to make a first type of analysis, a multi-body dynamic analysis that allows us to calculate the forces and activation of the muscle, as well as the joint reaction force and the biting force during rigid body motion. And for our biomechanical model, we pick up two specimens that have about the same skull dimension and biting performance. And the MDA calculation were validated against in vivo bite force measurement. Then the forces, muscle force calculated during the multi-body dynamic analysis are combined with measurement on material property, the stiffness of the bone, of the suture, to calculate the strain that the skull encompasses during biting with finite element analysis. So our finite element model include the cortical bone, the trabecular bone, the suture, and the dentines that were modeled as linear elastic isotropic material. We model two loading cases, an anterior bilateral bite and a posterior unilateral bite. And this analysis were carried on the University of Hull high-performance computer. The raw data were collected in R for quantitative analysis, but also for generating the rendering of the results that are visualized in ParaView. It's open source software, so it allows to share easily the finite element results. So Comparing the strain in the skull of the Tegu and the ornate monitor, here it's a plot showing the proportion of the skull that are at a given strain magnitude. We can see that for both a front and a posterior bite, the skull of the ornate monitor is more strained than the skull of the Tegu. And looking closer at our results, we can plot the strain against the length of the skull that has been divided into 10 sections of equal lengths from the tip of the snout to the back of the skull. And what we can see when we examine the foam-missile stress is that the foam-missile stress are twice higher during a front bite in the ornate monitor compared to the Tegu, especially at the level of the pterygoid. During a posterior bite, the strain on the back of the skull increase in the Tegu, but are still lower than in the ornate monitor. It has also higher strain at the level of this knot. So you can see here on the contour plot, the parietal of both of these species is highly strained, as well as the frontal in the ornate. When we consider the first principal strain, the most tensile strain, we can see that is twice higher at the back of the skull of the ornate monitor than in the Tegu. And the Tegu appears to have a higher tensile strain at the back of this skull during posterior bite. And finishing with the most compressive strain, the third principal strain, it is more than 2 times, the magnitude of this strain is more than 2 times higher at the back of the skull of the ornate monitor compared to the Tegu during front bite. And during posterior bite, there is an increase in the magnitude of the compressive strain in the Tegu that stay, however, lower than in the ornate monitor. And you can see it's here, it's during posterior bite, the parietal is under compression. So this analysis shows that the skull of the Tegu better resists the loading generating during biting than the skull of the ornate monitor. Now we want to test the influence of the post-orbital bar. So what we did, we altered the geometry and created a post-orbital bar in the ornate monitor and deleted the post-orbital bar in the Tegu. So what we see is that for front bite, the presence or absence of the post-orbital bar doesn't make so much differences, doesn't make any differences even. But during the posterior bite, we can see that the presence of the post-orbital bar reduces the overall strain in the skull in a more clear way in the Tegu than in the ornate monitor. And looking closer at what is going on along the length of the skull, we can see that the inclusion of the posterior post-orbital bar reduce the strain mainly in the anterior half of the skull in both of these species, but in a more clear way in the Tegu. So what's going on in the Tegu when we delete the we delete the post-orbital bar? It appears that the Tegu, when the post-orbital bar is absent, the Tegu presents higher tensile strain at the level of this frontal bone and higher compressive strain at the back of the skull. So the post-orbital bar allows prevents the skull from bending, especially during a posterior bite in the Tegu. And finally, we wanted to investigate the role of the interfrontal structure in the ornate monitor. So what we did here as well, we deleted this structure to investigate its implication. And as you can see on this plot, in a front bite or posterior bite, the presence or absence of the interfrontal suture doesn't make any difference. However, when we see when we look more closely, we can see that the postorbital, the interfrontal suture has only a very localized effect, and the inclusion of this, the absence of this suture result in a lower strain on the frontal bone, but does not affect the surrounding bones. So, as a conclusion, the TEGU and the ornate monitor show clear difference in the strain of the skull. The strain on the skull are lower in the TEGU than in the ornate monitor. The postorbital bar reduces the strain in the TEGU, especially during the posterior bite, and the interfrontal suture does not have an impact on the strain regime of the overall skull in the ornate monitor. So for future direction, we want to include the soft tissue in our FE model to see if, in our case, the soft tissue will have a greater impact in the flexible scale on the ornate monitor than in the robust skull of the TEGU. And the type of soft tissue we want to include includes the different ligaments, such as the quadrato-jugal ligament that is double and quite robust in the ornate monitor, but also the temporal fascia. This structure are sampled during dissection, and we measure the material property at Hull University. And in addition to the ligament, we also want to include the skin and some fascia in our biomechanical model. Also, since the eyes can be quite big in reptile, we want to include them in our future model, and they will be included and given material property based on the measurement of the intraocular pressure. So, including all this structure will increase the size of our FE model. So all the analysis will be run and take benefit from the high performance computer we have now at the University of Hull. So thank you for your attention.